Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm gonna do a really quick beef roast in the crock pot. Now, my husband invited some people over for dinner, so we have a crowd, so I wanna put something in and kind of set it and forget it. So pot roast is a really easy way, good morning, Dale. It's a really easy way to just do a one pot meal and you're done. So I'm gonna put it in my crock pot. If you have a crock pot, that's great. Morning, Laura, or afternoon where you are. Hey, Charlie. So I'm heating up just a skillet that I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna brown my meat before I put it in. I like chuck roast, oops. So I'm gonna put them here so we can see. Chuck roast. And you're just gonna season them, hey Rob, with whatever you like. I did like, I think Montreal steak seasoning is good. I did some onion salt. I did smoky paprika, you know, fresh herbs. So whatever you like, you know, you just wanna season them really well. One thing I will tell you is when you're cooking with a, my timer's going off here. When you're cooking in a crock pot, you want to kind of over season because it kind of gets lost in the crock pot, so you really need to make sure things are seasoned. So I put a little olive oil in the pan, and the reason you want to brown your meat before you put anything in a crock pot or even in a pressure cooker is because you want the Maillard reaction of the meat. You want to brown it and get it really delicious. I'm going to put some red wine in here. I'm going to kind of make a sauce, if you will, where then I'll put it into the crock pot. So it's super easy. Set it. Forget it. Okay, so this is hot. Feels like it's hot enough. I'm gonna do two smaller size, good morning Jack, pot roast, pieces of chuck roast. And I'm just gonna get them in there. There we go. Need some tongs so I don't kill myself, or maybe this will work, fork. So I don't know about you, but when I'm feeding, hey Roland, I need to come to your restaurant. We need to do a video. Roland has a great restaurant out in the desert. So what I love about doing crock pot cooking is it's quick and you put it in there and it just cooks all day and slow and low. If for some reason you don't have enough time, it is a little late for doing crock pot, I am gonna crank it on high. Morning, Scott. You can always finish it in the oven. So this can go in the oven and you can just cover it with foil if you need to finish it in there. But I still like the idea of slow roasting, but ideally you'd wanna get this in earlier. But I wanted to have some mommy-daughter time with my daughter. We went to Starbucks, we went to Sprouts, we were out shopping. Okay, so I'm just gonna get this browned. It's already seasoned. I'm looking for a nice crust on the meat. And then I'm gonna deglaze the pan with some red wine. I'm gonna put some elephant garlic in there, some fresh herbs, and then everything's gonna be poured into the crock pot on top of my vegetables. Now let's talk about vegetables for a bit. Put in whatever you like. I always put in an onion. I always do carrots. I'm gonna be doing parsnips. I don't know if you guys know what a parsnip is, but it's a root vegetable and it's kind of like a carrot. It has a nuttier flavor, but it's like, and I peeled it. It adds a nice flavor to a pot roast. I think it's something that you wanna add. So carrots and parsnip. I don't do celery because I don't like cooked celery, the way the texture of it. And then if there's room, I'll do some little potatoes. If not, I'm gonna put these on a sheet pan because I'm doing two pot roasts in here today. And then two things that I do in my pot roast. Hey Scott, yeah, I look great for the morning. I haven't done anything, thank you though. Seriously, onion soup mix and Hidden Valley Ranch powder mix. I'm going to put these together with the red wine and just let it mix, and I'm gonna pour it on the top. And I'm telling you guys, hello, it works. I also put a little butter on top, and we'll talk about that later. So you just put it in there, and it cooks all day, and it's delicious. Now you can make mashed potatoes and serve it over that. You can do roast potatoes, oven roast potatoes, whatever you like, or you could do a cauliflower mash if you're trying to do like a keto. I make oxtail soup yesterday. Ooh, Karen, you should come and do that on here. Hi, Lisa! I was gonna go do the gym this morning and then I thought, bubble bath, gym, bubble bath, gym. My workout buddy, Lisa, we've been busting it at the gym 5 days a week and that's how I lost 2 pounds eating cake and burritos last week, I guess. Works for me. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip this. Looks great. Can you see the color on there? Thumbs up if you can see the color on there. You want to get a nice crust on this roast. you know, if you put it in there without doing that, it just would look kind of unappealing. And I talk about all the time how we eat with our eyes. So when food looks prettier, we like it better. Hello? Presentation is everything. So it not only caramelizes the meat and it looks nice, it does improve the flavor because you're adding a crust onto it. But you could put it in here without doing that. I just don't recommend it. That's just my personal thing. Yes, go make it, Lisa. You can go into the freezer and pull something out. You know, if you don't have a lot of time, another thing you could do is pressure cooker. And I'll be doing some pressure cooking. A lot of people are asking me to do some pressure cooker, Instapot type recipes. You have to do it in stages if you're going to do your pressure cooker. You want to do the meat separate because the vegetables will break down. So it's a couple step process where you do your meat, then you can do it quick in the pressure cooker. And I do the same thing. You're going to brown it. You're going to make sure you have enough liquid in there, which is your red wine. You do your pressure cooker until your meat feels like mostly done, and then you'll go in and add your vegetables in there if you want to do it that way. Or you can always roast them off in the oven if you want to. Hey Debbie. Hey Paul, we got our mayor on. Woo woo. Mayor Paul, he's awesome. Okay, so once I get this brown and it's getting good, I'm gonna take some elephant garlic. You guys know what elephant garlic is? It's just a larger, like a jump. It's like a garlic on steroids. I'm just gonna kind of put those in the pan. I'm gonna cut them in half. I have 2 like cloves, which is probably the equivalent of, I don't know, 15 cloves of garlic, whatever. I like garlic. I'm just gonna put them in here whole, cut them in half, and I'm gonna let them kind of caramelize in this pan. Okay, so that's gonna go good. All right, now that it's pretty brown, I'm gonna go ahead and add some red wine. Don't use an expensive wine because you're cooking with it. This is a Trader Joe's Reserve. It's a Meritage Napa Valley red wine. It's good, it's great for cooking. I mean, it's good for drinking too, but you know, whatever. Okay, so I've got that brown. I'm gonna just reduce the heat down a little bit. I wanna get a little caramelization on, hey Daniel, I'm gonna get a little caramelization on the garlic, but I'm gonna add red wine to this and a little Worcestershire. This Worcestershire is one of those things that gives you that kind of umami flavor. So it has anchovies in it and a lot of other gobbledygook, but Worcestershire goes great with beef. So I always add Worcestershire when I'm doing a beef roast or I'm doing stroganoff. Jason, one of my followers, had asked me to do beef stroganoff, so I'll be doing that soon. And Worcestershire is a must if you're doing beef stroganoff. Okay, so that looks like that's. I'm gonna turn this clove of garlic over. I want it to get nice and caramelized here. And these garlic cloves are just gonna cook inside the pot roast, inside the crock pot, so that garlic flavor is infused. Now another thing you can do with beef is to cut slit holes in your beef. I have an extra roast over here because I need to do another one. So what you're gonna do is you would take slit marks with your knife, and not this big of a knife, like a smaller knife, and take garlic and push it into the meat and let it sit overnight like that, and then you can brown it, and that's delicious. Don't forget this Friday, I have my favorite butcher, John Fueling from Corner Butcher Shop in Laverne. He's bringing a turkey, turducken, and a prime rib. And this is my favorite way to do prime rib, where you stud it with garlic and you cook it. And that way when you're slicing the prime rib, you have like cloves of garlic throughout it. And everybody's like, I got the lucky garlic clove. So beef, it's a great way to do it. You can just slit it and push them in and kind of poke them in with your finger, okay? But don't forget, this Friday, Corner Butcher Shop, John Fueling's coming on, turducken, turkey, and prime rib. And I've invited our officers from Redlands Police Department, PD, to come and eat. I feel like I want to share the food with somebody, and I know I said I would bring some followers on, but I have a lot of some strange people on my Facebook page that are kind of stalkerish, and I thought I can't really have them over here at my house. So I've invited some officers to come, our local heroes, to come in and enjoy the food that we're going to be preparing this Friday. So maybe you'll see them on camera, maybe not. I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but we've invited them to come and eat some of the turducken, the turkey, and the prime rib. Okay? Hey Bernie, good morning. Okay, so I let this kind of cook. I browned it off. I'm going to add a few dashes of Worcestershire, maybe 8. 8 dashes. This is already seasoned, it's already browned. I'm gonna go ahead and add red wine. And probably, I could measure it just so you guys know. I'm probably gonna do, let's see, glug, 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 about a cup. Let's do a cup of red wine. And again, you know, you can use your leftover wine, you can use whatever. All right, so I've got that red wine in there, and I'm just gonna let it reduce just a tad. I'm gonna turn up the heat just a little bit. I'm gonna let it reduce just a tad before I put it into my crock pot. So I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. Let's talk vegetables. So, I'm gonna turn it this way. So we talked about what I'm gonna put in. You guys can do whatever you like. I'm gonna quarter an onion just into 4 pieces. I like to get a chunk of onion, so I'm gonna put that in the bottom. I'm gonna take some carrots. You know, they're already peeled. I've cut the ugly parts off. And I'm just gonna give them a cut, like right in the middle, just kind of on the bias. There we go. And put those in the bottom. That one's already cut. It's nothing better than like a pot roast. Don't you think? It's like so homey. Oh my gosh, this is smelling amazing. I love carrots. I remember growing up with my grandmother, my dad's mother, and she would make pot roast, and she would, I mean, she wasn't like the best cook, but she would make pot roast, and she would let the carrots get kind of burnt, kind of caramelized. So I grew up loving those really caramelized carrots. So I love to put them on the bottom so they can get caramelized. I'm gonna just kind of cut and rough chop the parsnip just to kind of, I want the flavor to be in there, but I don't want it to be like crazy big pieces in there. Okay, probably should have cut that a little bit more. All right, maybe 1 more carrot. I'm not gonna have room for the potatoes, but if you were doing a smaller amount of meat, you could certainly add, hey Padilla, hey Joe, you could certainly add little baby potatoes in here. And again, you could put them in whole. I would cut them in half personally and lay them in there as well. And that way it's truly a 1-pot meal. I'll do these separate, and then that way I have more room for the meat. I'm feeding kind of a large crowd. We were taping a video last night, and the Mormon missionaries had knocked on the door, and my husband was like, he couldn't invite them in because we were in the middle of filming a segment with my friend Sal. If you missed that video, go back on Foodie Princess, and it'll be on my Foodie Princess Facebook page, and he did a fish, cocktails, it was great. But he felt bad because he couldn't invite them in. He's like, sorry, we're taping a thing. And they were like, oh, so we invited him for dinner tonight. So I have the missionaries coming, I have my dad coming, I have my oldest son coming. So we have a crowd, and you know, I have to have a lot of meat. You know, boys like meat, so we're gonna have a lot of meat. So I wanted to do two roasts. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just add some salt onto this. I like to season every layer, and you need a lot of seasoning in a crock pot. And I will do some freshly cracked pepper. And this pepper mill's persnickety. My bougie. There we go. Okay. This is looking good. I'm about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to pull this out into another. What did I do with my measuring cups? Into this, I'm going to add, yes, my little like weird secrets. I'm going to do Lipton onion soup mix because it tastes amazing in a roast, and a packet of dry Hidden Valley Ranch. You can make Hidden Valley Ranch dip mix yourself. It's just onion powder, garlic powder, little other seasonings like herbs, you know. It's very easy. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to see how much liquid I have in that. If not, I'll add, actually I'll just put a little bit of red wine in this just to kind of moisten it up, and then it'll, get a fork. I don't want too much liquid. In a crock pot, you don't want too much liquid because it's already going to be really liquidy. But red wine is something that just makes it beautiful. When you pull your roast out of the crock pot, what you want to do is you can pull the meat out and the veg, and then take the sauce and strain it, put it back into a pan and reduce it. And then there's your gravy. And you can thicken it if you need to, but a lot of times you don't need to. It'll thicken on its own. Okay, so I have kind of like a little slurry here with my packet of ranch and my packet of Lipton onion soup mix. Okay, so I'm going to pour that back in there. All right, this is looking great. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat. We're almost done. I'm going to move the crock over here so that I don't spill it all over the place. Make sure I have room. Get rid of my wine. If you don't have wine, you could do beef broth. I wanted to throw that out there. I just think it's so much better with wine, but that's totally up to you. Okay. Ooh, this is heavy. All right. So what I'm gonna do, actually, I'm gonna put it here, and I'm just gonna take the crock out. It's easier, because it's plugged in. All right, so the trick is to get this in here without spilling it everywhere. Look how beautiful that meat looks. The red wine has made this really dark. Can you see that? How pretty that is? So it's essentially a drunken roast. Okay, and this meat, I'm gonna have to like really manipulate it to get it to fit in here. Luckily, it's a domed lid, so I'll just shove it in there. You get the picture. I'm gonna have to manipulate it a little bit to get it in, but it'll work. I wanna get those cloves of garlic that I have in here. Beautiful. Just set them in. I need my tongs, it's so much easier. Okay, yum. Oh my gosh, the smell, you guys. Amazing. Got a little bit of the other stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and add this mix, the dry mix of the ranch packet and the onion soup mix. I'm gonna get a whisk. I'm just gonna turn it back up again. And I'm just gonna blend it in here for just a moment. One more thing I'm gonna add, a little pat of butter, about 2 tablespoons worth in here. Who doesn't love butter and beef together? It's amazing. Okay. So I'm just gonna let this heat up for just a second. I'm gonna pour it over and I'm gonna set it and forget it. I'm gonna put it on high. Ideally for most pot roasts, and we're talking about chuck roasts, you want them on for about, hey Hal, you want them on for about 6 to 8 hours, okay? So if this isn't done by the time I need to serve dinner, I'll just take it out of the crock pot, I'll cover it with foil, and I'll just finish it in the oven. Not a big deal. You know, I should have done this earlier this morning, but you know, we wanted Starbucks and my daughter we went to Sprouts, so you know how it is. But usually I do a crock pot real early in the morning. Okay, it's just coming up to a boil is what I want. I've got my red wine in there. I had the garlic, so all the meat juices are in here. Beautiful. Last thing I'm gonna add is fresh herbs. I went into my garden, just grabbed, I've got thyme, I've got rosemary, I've got tarragon. I love tarragon and beef. I'm just gonna drop those herbs in there. Beautiful red wine sauce. Give it one more sec, looks good to me. And then after this cooks, I'm gonna take out the meat, you put it on a beautiful platter, and I'll come back later and show you. We'll reduce the sauce down and make a gravy out of it. And if you're doing mashed potatoes, oh my gosh, it's so good. But you're gonna strain this and then you can make a sauce, okay? So very carefully, I'm gonna pour this luscious red wine sauce. Okay, isn't that beautiful? I feel like I got it on my face. Okay, and there you go. And I'm gonna set it and forget it. So you guys can come back later and I can show you how to do it. If you have questions about how to do a roast, I've got butter, Worcestershire, red wine, elephant garlic. Go back and watch it if you didn't see it. If you have any questions, let me know. It's gonna be amazing. The house is gonna smell amazing. And I might even make some bread later, some fresh bread to have with our roast, but we'll see. Okay, you guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a good Sunday.